So first of all, what are the causes of bleeding in early pregnancy? Some conditions are related to the pregnant state, like abortions, ectopic pregnancy, that is the implantation of the pregnancy at site other than the uterus, like the tubes, the ovaries, and even the abdominal cavity. Then there is the hydatidiform mole, which is the gestational trophoblastic disease, and implantation bleeding, which is a normal variant of pregnancy related bleedings. And then there are the conditions which may be associated with the pregnant stage, which may result in bleeding in early pregnancy. This could be cervical lesions like cervical erosion, cervical polyps, or there can be certain forms of trauma. First of all, let us talk about the causes of bleeding like abortion. The normal implantation occurs by about 6th day, where first of all there is a zygote formation of fertilization of the ova and the sperm in the ampullary region, and then it transports along the fallopian tube to reach the uterine cavity, and it is usually implanted at the fundus. Now what is abortion? Abortion is the termination of pregnancy before the period of viability, which is considered to be 20 weeks of gestation, and it is calculated from the date of onset of the last menstrual period or the LMP. Now early abortions are considered in the duration between the conception and up to 12 weeks, while late abortions are from 12 to 20 weeks. The second definition of abortion is the termination of a pregnancy when the fetal weight is less than 500 grams. The incidence is about 10 to 20% of all hospital pregnancies, and 10% abortions are carried out illegally, which may result in septic abortions, about which we will be discussing in the later slides. 75% of these abortions usually take place before 16 weeks of gestation. Now coming to the classification of abortions. Abortions can be spontaneous, that is they occur on their own, which can be isolated, that is a single event, or recurrent, that is an abortion which is habitual or occurring again and again in the patient. These can further be classified into threatened abortion, inevitable abortion, complete abortion, incomplete abortion, and missed abortion. Then there is the variety of illegal abortion, which might turn into septic abortion. Then there are induced abortion, or which are induced from outside. These can be legal, which is known as the medical termination of pregnancy, or illegal or criminal abortions. First of all, what are the factors which are responsible for causing abortions? So the fetal or the ovular factors, which are also the genetic factors responsible for abortions. So these include the chromosomal abnormalities or the gross congenital malformations. Certain chromosomal abnormalities are not compatible with life, and certain gross malformation also lead to early fetal demise, which comes in the category of abortions. Then there is the blighted ovum, where the fetal heart fails to appear and the fetus fails to develop. And there is the hydropic degeneration of villi or the gestational trophoblastic disease. Then intrauterine demise of the fetus can also occur. Then there can be the second cause, can be the interference with the fetal circulation, which can be due to true cords in the placenta, the umbilical cord. Then there can be twists or entanglements which can compress the feto-maternal circulation and result in fetal deaths. Low attachment of placenta, that is the placenta previa, can result in massive hemorrhage and deaths. These entanglements and twists are more common in twins and hydroamnios. Then there are maternal factors which can be resulting in abortions. These may include maternal illnesses like the torch group of infections, chronic illnesses like chronic heart disease or chronic renal disease, endocrine factors like hypothyroidism or luteal phase defects. Then there can be direct or indirect trauma to the abdomen, and in cases of interventions like amniocentesis. Ingestion of certain toxic agents can result in abortions. Then there are the cervicouterine factors. Cervical incompetence is a common cause of abortion in the second trimester of pregnancy, and this results in spontaneous expulsion of the fetus without pain. Then there can be congenital malformation of the fetus, where like the unicornuate uterus or the septate uterus, where there is less space for the fetus to grow and develop, and this might result in abortion. Uterine tumors like fibroids may interfere with the fetal circulation and result in fetal demise. Then there are the immunological causes like the autoimmune diseases and the alloimmune diseases like the Rh incompatibilities and the EPLA positive individuals. Blood group incompatibility, we have already discussed the Rh negative types. So immunological and the cervico-uterine factors may also be responsible for abortions. Sometimes there may be rupture of membranes and certain dietetic factors which may be responsible for the fetal demise. Then there are the paternal factors and the unknown causes of abortions. Now what is the mechanism of abortion? Before 8 weeks, what happens is that the ovum is surrounded by villi with decidual covering is expelled out intact. If the external os may fail to dilate and the entire mass may be accommodated in the dilated cervical canal, and this might be the cervical form of miscarriage. Between 8 to 14 weeks, there is usually the complete expulsion of the fetus leaving the placenta and the membranes behind. Beyond 14 weeks, it is like mini labor where the fetus is expelled followed by the placenta and the membranes. First of all, talking about the spontaneous abortion. What is the definition of spontaneous abortion? It is defined as the involuntary loss of products of conception prior to 20 weeks of gestation. Coming to the incidence, it is 15% of all confirmed pregnancies. 80% occur in the first trimester. It is a clinical entity where the process of abortion has started but has not progressed to the state where recovery is impossible. This is the definition of threatened abortion, that is, the process of abortion has started but it can still be reversed and the patient might continue with the pregnancy. Coming to the clinical features, the patient will come to us with bleeding per vaginal, which can be slight bleeding or a bright red or brownish discharge. Rarely there is sharp bleeding. Pain, mild backache and dull abdominal pain may be experienced by the patient. So most important findings are spotting and pain abdomen. When we do a per speculum examination, we can see that the bleeding is coming out from the closed internal os. That is, the internal os is still closed and the bleeding is coming out from that. By the per speculum examination, we can also rule out the local causes of bleeding like cervical and polyps. On digital examination, we will feel that the external os does not allow the insertion of any finger, and the uterine size by bimanual examination, if we will palpate, then we will see that the uterine size corresponds to the period of amenorrhea. That is, if the patient from the LMP, she calculates it to be 8 weeks, then on bimanual examination, we will feel that the uterus is 8 weeks size. And the uterus and cervix feel soft, that is, the markers of pregnancy are present. In these patients, we should do the blood examination like the hemoglobin and the ABO-RH, the urine examination, urine microscopy, and ultrasound examination. The ultrasound examination is the mainstay because it will tell us whether there is a viable fetus inside the uterus or not. Now the management. First of all, the patient is advised rest. Among the drugs, sedation and pain relief are usually given. Enema should not be given, otherwise it can expedite the process of abortion. The patient should be advised to preserve the vulval pads, so just in case this threatened abortion is converted into incomplete or complete abortion, then we will be able to find out. She should report to the hospital if the pain and bleeding is aggravated, or if she is admitted to the ward, then she should inform the concerned doctor that the pain or bleeding has aggravated. We should routinely note the temperature, pulse, respiration, blood pressure and the vaginal bleeding on the daily morning rounds and in the evening. Advice on discharge should be, she should limit her activity for about 2 weeks, avoid heavy work, strenuous exercise and excitement for about 2 weeks, and coitus should be avoided for at least 2 weeks. Then comes the inevitable abortion. To define inevitable abortion, it is a clinical type of abortion where the changes have progressed to a state where continuation of pregnancy is impossible. That is, we cannot preserve this pregnancy and the patient will progress into an abortion. In this case, there is increased vaginal bleeding as compared to the threatened abortion. The pain is more than what was experienced in the threatened abortion, so the patient will come with excessive bleeding per vaginum and severe pain in lower abdomen, which might be colicky in nature. When we do upper vaginal and upper speculum examination, we will see that there is a dilated internal os and the products of conception can be felt. It may start with the rupture of membranes in later gestation where there can be escape of amniotic fluid and intermittent lower pain abdomen. The management. The aim of management is to accelerate the process of expulsion and to maintain strict sepsis. We want to accelerate the process of expulsion so that the amount of bleeding is curtailed. The general measures are: IV fluids are given, blood transfusion if required is given, and in the active management before 12 weeks we should do a dilatation and evacuation followed by blunt curettage. We will follow up with the remaining part in the next class.